Ethan Miller, unbeknownst to Victoria King, had sent her young lover packing all the way out of the country. That very night, she kidnapped Ethan's parents, demanding Liam Vance's whereabouts in exchange for their lives. Victoria slid her phone across the table towards him. On the screen, his parents were tied to chairs, a timer strapped to each of their chests, the numbers ticking down relentlessly. 00:59:5900:59:58. She sat opposite him, legs crossed, a slender finger tapping lightly on the tabletop, as if waiting for an insignificant contract to be signed. "Ethan, you have 59 minutes. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "Tell me, where did you send Liam?" A chill coursed through Ethan. His throat felt constricted, words failing him. This was the third time she'd asked. The first time, she'd asked where Liam Vance had gone. He'd remained silent. The second time, she'd cupped his chin, her thumb caressing his lips, her voice a low murmur. "Ethan, don't be difficult." Now the third time, she was using his parents' lives to coerce him. "Victoria," his voice trembled. "Those are my parents, the most important people in my life." She let out a soft laugh, but her eyes were terrifyingly cold. "Are they? Then when you sent Liam away, did you ever consider how important he is to me?" Ethan stared at her, a bitter laugh bubbling up. Important? She had said men on the outside were just for fun, to be discarded when she tired of them. She had said he was the one she loved most. But now, for Liam Vance, she was willing to kill his parents. "Victoria," his voice was raspy, almost unrecognizable. "If I don't tell you, will you really let them die?" She leaned forward slightly, her dark eyes reflecting his pale face. "You could try me." Ethan trembled, tears splashing onto the polished wood of the table. He didn't understand how things had come to this. Victoria King, who had once loved him so fiercely, so genuinely. Back then, he was just a kid from an ordinary family, while Victoria was the heiress to a New York City real estate empire, a golden girl born with a silver spoon, regal and cool, never bowing to anyone. Yet, she had fallen for him at first sight. Her pursuit of him had been the talk of the town, 99 declarations of love, each one a city-wide sensation. Roses dropped from helicopters and giant banners, LED billboards proclaiming her love across entire financial districts. And on his birthday, she'd arranged for the city's fireworks display to be solely for him. He'd been moved, but his parents had been vehemently opposed. They knew all too well what these wealthy families were like: a wife at home and a string of lovers on the side. The love of a high society heiress was never a fairy tale. They wanted him to marry someone from similar background, but Victoria had knelt outside their modest home for a day and a night, abandoning all her pride, just for a chance to marry into his family. His parents had eventually relented. After the wedding, they were deeply in love. Victoria doted on him, catering to his every whim. When he had a stomach ache, she flew back from Europe overnight just to brew him a special herbal remedy. When he casually mentioned wanting a specific pastry from a bakery on the Upper West Side, she drove halfway across the city to get it for him. He thought he had married the right person, until he first heard the name Liam Vance. It was his assistant, chatting idly, who mentioned some college kid intentionally tripping in front of Victoria during a speech, a clumsy attempt to get her attention. Ethan had smiled, paying it no mind. After all, countless men tried to latch onto her, and she had always maintained her reputation. But the second time he heard the name, it was in their bed. She was on top of him, lost in passion, when she whispered, "Liam." In that instant, he felt like he'd been plunged into icy water. He confronted her. She held him close, explaining that yes, she considered a sugar baby arrangement with Liam, but it was just for fun, something on the side. "Everyone in our circle does it, Ethan. You're the one I love most. That will never change." But later, she grew more and more brazen. She bought Liam luxury cars, lavish apartments, even brought him to private parties. The gossip columns were having a field day. He'd confronted her countless times, but she no longer indulged him as before, merely stating coldly, "Don't be unreasonable." Finally, he couldn't bear it any longer and sent Liam out of the country. He never imagined her reaction would be this extreme. Kidnapping his parents, strapping bombs to them, all to force him to reveal Liam's whereabouts. "He's in Switzerland," he finally choked out, trembling. "Near Zurich, in that villa I own." She stared at him for a few seconds, as if judging his honesty, then picked up her phone and made a call. After confirming, she grabbed her coat, her steps urgent as she prepared to go retrieve Liam. "My parents." He grabbed her sleeve. "You promised. You said if I told you, you'd let them go." She looked back at him, her eyes indifferent. "An abandoned factory in South Brooklyn. Go find them yourself." Ethan stumbled out the door, racing his car towards South Brooklyn. When he found them, the bomb timer showed only 10 minutes left. His parents were tied to chairs, their mouths gagged. The moment they saw him, they shook their heads frantically, signaling him to run. He rushed over, his hands trembling as he tried to untie the ropes, but the ticking of the bomb was a death knell. 00:03:2100:0:3:20. He couldn't get them free, tears of desperation streaming down his face. His father suddenly slammed into him, sending him staggering back. The next second, his father lunged, throwing his own body onto the bomb. Dad! The explosion was deafening, the heat wave throwing him off his feet. He hit the ground hard, his vision turning blood red. When Ethan woke up, he was in the hospital. His parents were severely injured, but miraculously alive. He knelt by their beds, sobbing, "I'm so sorry. I chose the wrong person." His mother weakly raised a hand, stroking his hair. "Silly boy, you can always start over." He shook his head. "She won't let me go." When he first found out about Liam, he couldn't accept it. He'd thought about divorce. But every time he drafted divorce papers, Victoria tore them up. She said she was just playing with Liam, that she'd dump him when she got bored. Her true love was Ethan, and she wouldn't let him leave. His father grasped his hand. "No, Ethan, there's something you don't know, and she's probably forgotten. The night we agreed to your marriage, your mother and I had her sign a divorce agreement." Ethan froze. If she ever betrayed you, his father's voice was soft, the agreement would take effect. You could divorce her immediately, and our family. We would disappear forever. Ethan was stunned, tears streaming down his face. His parents had prepared a way out for him all along. The next day, Ethan did two things. First, he, along with his parents, took the signed divorce agreement to a lawyer. The lawyer reviewed it and nodded. "This agreement is valid. The divorce is effective immediately." Second, they initiated the process of legally erasing their identities. Once the process was complete, Ethan Miller, as the world knew him, would cease to exist, and Victoria King would never find him. Learning that the identity erasure process would take 2 weeks, Ethan, after discussing it with his parents, decided to return to Victoria's mansion. For these 2 weeks, he had to remain by her side, ensuring she suspected nothing. Otherwise, with her methods, none of them would escape. Back at the villa, Ethan began to sort through his belongings. The photographs once cherished, Victoria's love letters, the souvenirs from their trips together. He threw them all in the fireplace. Flames consumed the past, as if incinerating a ridiculous dream. The next day, Ethan went to the backyard. There stood a whole grove of maple trees Victoria had planted for him, saying maples symbolized steadfastness, like her undying love for him. Ethan picked up an axe and began to chop them down, one by one. The staff watched from a distance, daring neither to approach nor to stop him. The dull, harsh thud of the axe against what sounded like an obsession being brutally severed. On the third day, Ethan went to Lookout Point on the cliffs. A padlock engraved with their names hung there. Years ago, Victoria had led him there, throwing the key over the precipice, declaring they would be locked together for life. Now, Ethan used bolt cutters to snap the chain. The lock clattered to the ground. He turned and left without a backward glance. When he returned to the villa, 2 new people were in the living room. Victoria sat on the sofa, with Liam Vance beside her, pale and looking as if a gust of wind could knock him over. Ethan walked past them without a word, heading straight upstairs. "Stop," Victoria's cold voice commanded. Ethan paused, but didn't turn around. "Do you know why I brought him back?" she asked. "I don't care. After you sent Liam abroad, he couldn't acclimate. He hasn't slept properly for days." Her tone was accusatory. Ethan apologized to him. Ethan finally turned, looking at them. Liam clutched Victoria's sleeve timidly, but a flicker of triumph crossed his eyes. "And if I don't apologize?" Ethan asked calmly. "It's all right, it doesn't matter." Liam began, feigning timidity. "I can handle a little discomfort. After all, you're Ms. King's husband, Ethan." Victoria immediately pulled him closer. "Haven't I told you not to be so overly considerate?" She squeezed his hand. "From now on, I'm here. You can do whatever you want." Ethan's lips twisted into a smirk. The irony was suffocating. A maid brought in a bowl of calming broth, saying it was specially prepared for Liam. Just then, Victoria's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID, then said softly to Liam, "You always get a headache when you hear me discussing business. I'll take this outside. You finish your broth." With that, she stood up and left. Ethan stood rooted to the spot, his heart feeling as if it had been struck by an axe. She never used to discuss business outside. It involved confidential matters. But now, for Liam, she could even change that habit. Only Ethan and Liam remained in the living room. The pallor on Liam's face vanished instantly, replaced by the arrogance of a victor. See, he chuckled. Even though you're her husband, and you used your position to send me away, Victoria's heart and soul are with me. Ethan looked at him coolly. You want her? Then she's yours. Liam froze for a moment, then a flash of anger. I don't need you to give her to me. She'll be mine alone sooner or later. Your position will be mine too. Seeing Ethan unmoved, he grew even more agitated. Just then, Victoria's footsteps approached from outside. A glint of malice flashed in Liam's eyes. He suddenly picked up the bowl of scalding broth and splashed it all over himself. Ah! He screamed, tears instantly welling up. When Victoria rushed in, that was the scene she witnessed. Liam was a mess, broth dripping from his clothes, his eyes red-rimmed. Ethan Miller, her brow furrowed with barely suppressed anger. It's one thing not to apologize, but how dare you treat him like this? I didn't do it, Ethan said calmly. You can check the security footage. Fine, we'll check, she sneered. Liam immediately grabbed her arm, choking back sobs. Victoria, it's not his fault. It's me. I shouldn't have dreamed of staying by your side. I'll leave right now. He took one step, and Victoria yanked him back. I just found you again, and you want to leave my sight? Are you trying to kill me? She held him tightly, as if clutching a rediscovered treasure. Then, she looked at Ethan, her eyes chillingly cold. For this, I will get justice for him. Ethan was locked in the walk-in freezer. As the bodyguards dragged him inside, he struggled desperately. Victoria, check the security footage. I didn't do it. She didn't even glance at him, merely saying coldly, no need to check. I only believe him. The heavy door of the freezer slammed shut. Darkness and cold enveloped Ethan instantly. He curled up in a corner, shivering, yet his heart felt colder than the freezer itself. This was what she called loving him most. Tears streamed down Ethan's face. He had always been sensitive to the cold. After they married, Victoria had spent a fortune installing a state-of-the-art climate control system in their home, ensuring even the outdoor patios were temperate year-round. In winter, she would cradle his icy hands and feet in hers, smiling. I'll keep you warm like this for the rest of our lives. Thinking back now, promises, perhaps, were only real in the moment they were spoken. The next day, when Ethan was nearly numb from a cold, the freezer door finally opened. A bodyguard stood impassively at the entrance. Ms. King said, if there's a next time, the punishment won't be this lenient. He leaned against the wall, staggering out, his body trembling so violently his teeth chattered. There wouldn't be a next time. Soon, he would make her disappear from his world completely. That evening, Victoria's assistant delivered a tuxedo and some jewelry, informing him he was expected at a charity auction gala. Ethan went, and there, at the entrance to the ballroom, he saw Liam Vance. Liam was dressed in a custom-tailored suit, the bespoke necklace around his neck one Victoria had bought at an auction last month for an 8-figure sum. Ethan stopped, looking at Victoria. He's here too. What do you want me here for? Her expression was neutral. I wasn't planning on bringing him, but he's never been to an event like this and wanted to come. So, I brought him. She paused, her tone casual. Ethan, don't be so petty. A slight tremor ran through Ethan. He wasn't being petty. It was that she hadn't even considered how much gossip and ridicule he would endure, making her husband and her boy toy appear together. Victoria walked in with Liam, who held her hand intimately. People around them whispered, Ms. King and her husband look so good together, a perfect match. You got the wrong person. That one is her husband. The one next to her, just a kept boy toy. The person who had misspoken glanced awkwardly at Ethan, then said sheepishly, but Ms. King treats that young man so well, dresses him in genuine designer wear, while her husband gets, well, it's like a promotional freebie. No wonder I got them mixed up. Ethan clenched his fists, his nails digging deeply into his palms. After the auction began, Ethan casually bid on a few items. But whatever he bid on, Liam would raise his price by just $1. Low chuckles rippled through the crowd. The official spouse being bullied and outdone by the boy toy. That's a first. Ethan, expressionless, made a gesture signifying an unlimited bid. I'll take it, whatever the cost. Liam's face paled. He tugged at Victoria's sleeve pitifully. Victoria, I really like this one. Victoria frowned, looking at Ethan. Ethan, let him have it. No, he can't make an unlimited bid, but I can. Because I'm your husband, and our assets are jointly owned. He looked at Liam, his voice laced with sarcasm. No matter how much she gives you, you'll never measure up to me. Liam's face turned ashen. He shot to his feet. You. The next second, he suddenly covered his face, crying, Yes, you're her husband. I'm just a boy toy who can't see the light of day. I shouldn't have such foolish dreams. Victoria, let's just break up. With that, he turned and ran. Victoria's expression changed drastically. She grabbed Ethan's wrist, her grip so tight it felt like it would crush his bones. I told you, I'll get tired of him after a while. Did you have to force him away? Ethan looked at her calmly. Whether he leaves or not, what does it have to do with me? Her eyes were dark. She shook off his hand and strode out after Liam. Ethan stood there, the gazes of those around him a mixture of mockery and pity. But he didn't care. He would be leaving soon anyway. But the next morning, Ethan was jolted awake by a news alert pushed to his phone. Breaking. 999 private photos of King Corp, CEO's husband, to be auctioned at Sotheby's. The blood in his veins instantly turned to ice. Those photos, only Victoria had them. Ethan's hand trembled as he dialed her number, his voice hoarse. The photos. Did you release them? On the other end, Victoria let out a cold laugh. Don't you enjoy bidding whatever it takes? If you don't want others to see those photos. Her tone was cruel. Then you'd better get over there and bid on every single one of them until you've had your fill. In the background, Liam's voice could be heard. Victoria, is that Ethan? I should probably leave. I shouldn't be by your side. Don't be ridiculous. Her voice instantly softened. Then, the sound of intimate kisses came through the phone. I've already stood up for you. You dare try to leave again. The call was disconnected at some point. Ethan felt as if he'd been plunged into an ice cellar. He rushed to the auction house. The moment he pushed open the doors, he trembled. The room was packed, and on the large screen, his private photos were scrolling. There was his profile as he slept, which she had once praised as handsome and saved. There was his back as he showered, a photo she'd cajoled him into letting her take, saying she could look at it when she missed him. And there were bed photos of him, naked and covered in hickeys, which she had then called proof of her passionate love for him. At the auction, people's eyes were glued to Ethan, their whispers like knives stabbing his ears. Those abs. King is a lucky woman. I heard Ms. King used to be deeply in love with him. Why is she selling his private photos now? Got tired of him, I guess. Men who marry into money like that. All glamour on the surface, but behind the scenes. Every word was like a dagger to Ethan's heart. He suddenly remembered how possessive Victoria used to be. That year, on an island vacation, he'd been about to take off his shirt for sunbath. When a couple of women glanced at him a little too long, Victoria had dragged him back to the hotel on the spot, pressing him against the floor-to-ceiling window, straddling him and cooing. Ethan Miller belongs to Victoria King. And now, to stand up for another man, she had personally sold his private photos for these people to gawk at. He bid on them one by one. With each click of the bidding paddle, his heart grew colder. By the time he bought the last photo, his love for her had completely died. As he walked out of the auction house, his phone rang. Bidding whatever it takes? Did you enjoy yourself? Victoria's voice was laced with mockery. Ethan gripped his phone, his nails nearly digging into his palm. By doing this, aren't you afraid I'll divorce you? Her tone was very calm, as if speaking to a petulant child. You can't, Ethan. If I don't sign, this marriage can't be dissolved. He remained silent. She had truly forgotten. He held a divorce agreement she had already signed. Hearing his silence, Victoria's tone softened. Today was just a lesson. She paused. I told you, as long as you don't target Liam, I'll naturally return to our family life after a while. Your birthday is in a few days. I'll throw a party to make it up to you. Ethan was about to say no, thank you, but the call had already ended. In the following days, he could almost constantly see Liam Vance's Instagram feed. The latest post was a photo of Victoria hugging him on a yacht, captioned, "She said I wanted to see the ocean, so she bought me an island." Scrolling down, she, who's allergic to cat fur, got a ragdoll cat for me. Her phone gallery is full of Mihi. If this had been before, Ethan would have been heartbroken to the point of suffocation. But now he felt nothing. Victoria had been staying at Liam's place recently. When she occasionally came back, she didn't even notice things missing from the house. Perhaps she wouldn't even notice if he disappeared. On the day of his birthday party, Victoria personally drove to pick him up. She was alone in the car, not bringing Liam Vance along. Ethan asked mildly. Victoria frowned. I'll try to keep you two apart from now on, so you won't always be angry. Ethan's lips twitched. She wasn't afraid of him getting angry. She was afraid he would bully Liam. In her mind, Ethan Miller was already a malicious man. The party was grand. Victoria held Ethan's hand throughout, presenting him with expensive watches and famous paintings, even whispering placatingly, "Are you appeased this time?" Ethan looked at her, suddenly remembering the past. When she angered him, she would also lower herself like this to coax him, and Ethan would always soften and forgive her. But this time was different. She had used his parents' lives as bargaining chips, trampled his dignity underfoot, publicly auctioned his private photos. Even if she laid the whole world at his feet, it wouldn't make up for it. Just as Ethan was about to speak, the ballroom doors suddenly swung open. Liam Vance, dressed in a white tuxedo, stood timidly at the entrance. Victoria's expression changed. "Didn't I tell you to stay at the villa?" His eyes were slightly red. I wanted to celebrate Ethan's birthday, and I brought a gift." "I don't want to see you," Ethan said coldly. But Victoria had already beckoned a waiter to arrange a seat for Liam, whispering to Ethan, "He kindly came to celebrate your birthday. Let's just let bygones be bygones from last time." At the party, though it was ostensibly for Ethan's birthday, Victoria's attention was entirely on Liam. When the band struck up a dance tune, she initially took Ethan's hand, but a sidelong glance at Liam's pitiful expression made her turn and walk towards Liam instead. Ethan stood in a corner, watching them embrace and dance, his heart numb. When the music ended, Liam complained his leather shoes were pinching his feet. Victoria immediately went downstairs herself to buy him sneakers. Liam seized the opportunity to approach Ethan, waving his phone. "Ethan Miller, you probably don't know, but the gifts Victoria gave you were all my rejects. For her to attend your birthday party, she had to report to me, send me a message every minute." He proudly displayed the chat history. "Look," she said, "baby, just bear with it a little longer. I'll be back with you soon." Ethan's heart was already dead. "What exactly do you want?" "I want you to step aside. Soon." Ethan looked at him calmly. "I will step aside completely." Liam narrowed his eyes, his thoughts unreadable. Just when Ethan thought he believed him, the next moment, Liam suddenly grabbed Ethan's hand and slapped himself hard across the face. Smack! The crisp sound of a slap echoed. When Victoria rushed over, she saw Liam clutching his face. "Ethan Miller," she roared. "You're bullying him again?" "I didn't. I saw it all." She grabbed Ethan's wrist, her grip strong enough to nearly crush bone. "Wasn't last time's lesson enough? I told you, whatever you do to Liam, I'll repay it tenfold." Liam sobbed, shaking his head. "It's okay. It doesn't matter. With me here, what are you afraid of?" Victoria tenderly wiped away his tears. "I told you, you can do anything, even if you cause a huge mess. It doesn't matter. Don't always be so timid. You'll just get bullied." With that, she had the bodyguards restrain Ethan and said to Liam, "However he hit you, you hit him back 10 times now." Liam pretended to be scared. I don't dare. I'll teach you." She took his hand and swung it hard at Ethan. Smack! "This one is to teach you to fight back." Smack! "This one is to teach you not to be timid." Smack! The third slap, the fourth. Ethan's vision blackened from the pain. Blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. His ears rang, but he clenched his teeth, not uttering a sound. Only after the 10th slap did Victoria stop. Guests around whispered, "The poor husband, and on his birthday too. Serves him right, who told him to bully people." Victoria gently cupped Liam's hand. "Does it hurt? I'll take you to get some ointment." With that, she supported Liam and left without a backward glance. The bodyguards released Ethan. He slumped to the floor, his cheek burning, but his heart ached 1,000 times more. "Victoria King, I regret it. I regret falling in love with you. I regret it so much." Ethan stumbled out of the ballroom, his cheek throbbing, the blood on his lips already dry. He didn't call a driver, instead driving himself to the hospital. As the doctor applied medication, he stared at his reflection in the mirror. One side of his face was swollen and red, his lips split, his eyes bloodshot. What a mess. He tugged at the corner of his mouth, but it pulled at the wound, making him hiss in pain. After his injuries were treated, he was about to drive back when 2 people blocked his way in the parking lot. Liam Vance's parents. They flanked his car doors, their tone pleading. "Mr. Miller, please stop holding on to Ms. King's husband's position. Even if it's just to pity us, please step aside for our son." Ethan looked at them coldly. "Moo, my son genuinely loves Ms. King. Please just let them be happy." I said move. He didn't want to get entangled further. He pushed past them and opened his car door. But just as he pressed the accelerator, Liam's father suddenly lunged towards the front of the car. Thump. A dull thud. Ethan hadn't even processed what happened when he saw Liam's father on the ground, clutching his leg and howling in pain. Liam's mother shrieked, rushing over. "Old man." Ethan froze, his fingers gripping the steering wheel tightly. He threw himself onto the car. He did it on purpose, but he had no time to think. He immediately got out and rushed the man to the emergency room. In the hospital corridor, Liam Vance hurried over. The moment he saw Ethan, without a word, he swung his hand and slapped him. Smack! Ethan's head snapped to the side, his ears ringing. "Ethan Miller!" Liam screamed, his voice raw with anguish. "You could do whatever you want to me, but why would you bully my parents like this?" The newly bandaged wound on Ethan's cheek split open again, blood seeping out, but he felt no pain. Your father ran out himself, he said coldly. If you're going to lie, at least make it believable. Victoria's sharp voice came from behind. How could Liam's father possibly throw himself at your car? Ethan Miller, when did you become so malicious? Ethan looked at her, his heart already a mangled, bleeding mess. Now, she wouldn't even investigate, just assuming he'd intentionally hit someone. She seemed to have forgotten how deeply she had once loved him. A doctor hurried out. The patient has lost too much blood and needs an urgent transfusion. He's type A. Is anyone here able to donate? Liam sobbed, shaking his head. I'm a direct relative. I can't donate. Victoria's gaze fell on Ethan. He's type A. Make him donate. Ethan jerked his head up. I won't. You hit him. You should be responsible. Her eyes were grim. If anything happens to the man in there, I won't let you off. Ethan felt a chill run through him, his voice trembling. Are you trying to force my parents to their deaths? To force me to my death, just like last time? Her pupils constricted slightly, as if his words had stung her. But the next moment, she hardened her heart and ordered the bodyguards. Take him over there. Draw his blood. Ethan was forcibly pushed into a donation chair. When the needle pierced his vein, his fingertips trembled with pain. As the blood bag slowly filled, his consciousness grew increasingly dim. He remembered before, when he was anemic, Victoria would fret terribly even if he just scraped his skin. But now, she had people hold him down, drawing his blood to save a man who had staged an accident. His vision blurred, and he finally couldn't hold on any longer. Fainting, when he woke up again, it was already dark. Ethan, supporting his weakened body, got out of bed, preparing to leave the hospital. As he passed a certain room, he heard Liam Vance's voice from inside. Dad, Mom, this is Victoria, my girlfriend. Ethan's steps faltered. Through the partially open door, he saw Victoria linking arms with Liam, her tone gentle. Uncle, Annie, don't worry. I won't let Liam suffer any grievances in the future. Liam's mother couldn't stop smiling. Good, good. It's truly Liam's fortune to find a girlfriend like you. Ethan stood outside the door, suddenly remembering many years ago. Victoria had been just like this, linking arms with him, solemnly telling his parents, Uncle, Annie, don't worry. We will definitely be happy. The same words she now spoke to another man. Victoria King, so your promises have such a short shelf life. Ethan bit his lip hard until he tasted blood, then turned and left. Outside, Ethan checked the time. There were still 3 days until his identity erasure process was complete. In 3 days, he and his parents could leave this place for good. No matter how Victoria searched, she would only find that such a person no longer existed. Back home, he quickly packed the things he wanted to take. A few changes of clothes, his ID, his passport. He didn't want to take anything else. The door suddenly pushed open just as he was stuffing his passport into his bag. Victoria stood at the doorway, Liam Vance behind her, tears of grievance streaming down his face. Although Dad is out of danger, he's old, and this time he really suffered. Liam sobbed, tears like broken pearls. Victoria raised a hand to wipe his tears, her tone gentle. Stop crying. Aren't I getting justice for you right now? She paused. How do you want him to apologize? As long as it's not too excessive, I'll agree. Liam timidly glanced at Ethan, then whispered, I want Ethan to be locked up for a few days. Victoria immediately frowned. Liam, that's a bit much. I know you can't bear to. Liam clutched her sleeve, his eyes red. But my dad was so seriously injured. If we don't teach him a lesson, he'll bully us again in the future. He bit his lip, his voice even lower. Just a few days to make him not dare to do this again. Victoria, I know he's the love of your life, and I'm just a distraction. If you really can't bear it, then let's just break up. Victoria was silent for a few seconds, finally sighing helplessly. Don't break up. I'll listen to you. And just like that, Ethan was sent to a detention center. Before Victoria left, she didn't even give him a second glance. And Liam, after confirming she was far away, turned back to Ethan, a cold smile on his face, whispered something to the nearby guards, and slipped them a stack of cash. The next 3 days were the longest nightmare of Ethan's life. He was pushed, insulted, even intentionally tripped, his knees scraped raw and bloody. No one treated his wounds. No one gave him a clean sip of water. He curled up in a corner, clenching his teeth, counting the time. In 3 days, he would be free. On the evening of the 3rd day, the iron gate finally opened. Victoria stood at the entrance, silhouetted against the light. Ethan couldn't make out her expression. Only when she drew closer did his heart skip a beat. What happened? Ethan's clothes were so dirty, their original color was unrecognizable. His arms and knees were covered in bruises and scrapes, and there was dried blood at the corner of his mouth. Liam immediately linked his arm with hers. Ethan must have hurt himself on purpose, playing pitiful. He pouted. Just being locked up for a few days, what could happen? Victoria stared at Ethan for a few seconds, finally saying with a cold face, "Ethan Miller, are you ever going to stop this?" Ethan tugged at the corner of his mouth, lacking even the strength to explain. Back at the villa, Victoria, surprisingly, didn't leave immediately. She sat on the sofa and announced calmly, "From now on, I'll spend Mondays and Tuesdays with you. The rest of the time, I'll be with Liam." Ethan stood at the top of the stairs, silent. "Today is Wednesday. I should go be with him." She stood up, grabbing her coat. "For the next few days, don't disturb me." She walked to the door, then added, "I'll be back next Monday." Ethan looked at her and said mildly, "Okay, goodbye." How ridiculous. Did she think he would still wait for her to come back? Victoria frowned, seemingly surprised by his attitude, but ultimately said nothing and left. The moment the main door closed, Ethan's phone suddenly vibrated. "Mr. Miller, your identity cancellation procedures have all been completed." Ethan stared at the message, his eyes moist, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst from his chest. He was free. He immediately picked up his already packed luggage and walked out of the villa without a backward glance. The airport. His parents were already waiting for him at the gate. When they saw him, his mother's eyes reddened as she hugged him tightly. "My dear, it's all over." Ethan, his own eyes red, nodded. Yes, it was all over. 6 years ago, on that snowy night, Victoria had knelt before his family's home, saying she would engrave him into her life. And now, he had personally carved her name out of his. As he prepared to board, he took out his phone, removed the SIM card, and with his snap, broke it in two between his fingers. "Here is your boarding pass, sir," a staff member said respectfully. Ethan casually tossed the broken card into a trash can, took the boarding pass, and, holding his parents' hands, strode towards the gate. His back was straight, his steps unwavering. From this day forward, Victoria King would no longer exist in his world. The plane sliced through the sky, heading abroad. In the vastness of New York City, the disappearance of one ordinary family would go unnoticed. Meanwhile, Victoria was with Liam Vance, cuddled up, watching a movie. Inexplicably, a wave of panic washed over her for a moment. A hollow feeling, as if something very important had been lost forever in that instant. Liam sensed her distraction and looked up. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Probably just my imagination." Victoria shook her head, forcing a smile as she hugged him tighter. "Babe, you're distracted even when I'm right here. I'm going to have to punish you." He playfully tickled her, a mischievous glint in his eyes, eventually tiring himself out. "What? How are you not ticklish at all?" Victoria chuckled. "If that punishment doesn't work, we'll try another." With that, she lifted his shirt, her hands finding his abs. They tumbled together, laughing and wrestling. Sometime during their play, the mood shifted. They drew closer, their lips finally meeting. The room filled with a languid intimacy. For 3 straight days, they were inseparable. But Victoria, initially content, started to feel a sense of ennui, her interest waning. Liam tried all sorts of novel approaches to spice things up, but Victoria remained distracted. It wasn't the activity she was tired of. It was him. Being constantly with one person was becoming rather dull. Most importantly, Ethan hadn't sent any messages in a long time. He was doing exactly as she wished, not disturbing her on the days she wasn't with him. This was what she wanted, yet a strange unease settled in her heart. Victoria glanced at her phone. The chat history with Ethan, once filled with endless conversation, was now pitifully sparse. The last call had been days ago, after the auction. She frowned, a nameless anger simmering within her. She didn't want him to disturb her, so he just did nothing at all? Did he even remember he was her husband? Victoria repeatedly tapped on Ethan's profile picture, hoping to see a new message pop up, but there was always nothing. She hesitated, unsure whether to call him. Before she could decide, Liam suddenly covered her eyes. "Guess what surprise I have for you?" He feigned mystery, yet his bare skin subtly brushed against her neck, a clear invitation. Caught off guard, Victoria's finger tapped the screen, and the call went through. "We're sorry. The number you have dialed is not in service." A robotic female voice reached both their ears, stunning them into silence. "Whatever it is, it can wait." Victoria impatiently pushed Liam away, incredulously dialing Ethan's number again. Yet the same voice, the same message. How can this be? Her mind went blank, unable to comprehend what had happened. Liam glanced at the contact name, then feigned concern. "Victoria, maybe Ethan is just busy, or maybe he's angry with you, jealous of me, so he deliberately disconnected his number to make you worry and come find him. He's still your husband. Where could he go?" What could happen? He's probably at home right now, waiting for you to come and smooth things over. Victoria lowered her gaze, lost in thought. What Liam said made sense. Perhaps, just as he suggested, Ethan was waiting for her to get anxious. She frowned, her heart filled with frustration and impatience. How long is he going to keep this up? Is this game fun for him? He's nothing like you, Liam, so obedient and understanding. I'm going to ignore him. Let's see how long he can hold out. Victoria suppressed the unease and surging anger within her, nestling back into Liam's embrace. He had made an effort to look particularly appealing today, his expression a blend of innocence and shyness, utterly captivating. His arms, like pliant snakes, wrapped around her shoulders, his thin lips brushing her cheek, poised to deepen the kiss. But Victoria was distracted, gave him a perfunctory peck, and pushed him away again. She grabbed her clothes, dressed, and smoothed herself out in front of the mirror before coldly tossing out. There's an emergency at the office. I need to go. You get some rest. Without another glance at Liam, she strode out the door and drove off. Liam, furious, punched a pillow several times. Damn Ethan Miller. He really has his ways. I will never let you have her. Victoria had indeed gone to the office, not home. For 2 straight days, she buried herself in work. Yet her gaze frequently drifted to her phone, lying beside her. It rang. It was Liam. She irritably hung up. But Liam called again and again. The phone lit up countless times, but never with Ethan's name. Even when Monday arrived, he still hadn't sent a single message or made a single call. The panic in Victoria's heart grew more pronounced, her anger a raging inferno, ready to explode at the slightest touch. Just then, her assistant, Mark Peterson, pushed open the door. Ms. King, someone is here to see you. It's... Before Mark could finish, she urgently cut him off. Is it Ethan Miller? Tell him to wait a bit longer. After not messaging me for so long, he deserves to wait. Mark's face was a mask of awkwardness. He bit his lip, hesitant. Ms. King, it's not Mr. Miller. It's the business partner you're scheduled to meet today. Victoria's expression froze. It took a long moment for Mark's words to register. How could it not be Ethan? Are you joking? Send him indirectly. Postpone the partnership meeting. She irritably massaged her temples. Mark looked extremely uncomfortable. Ms. King, Mr. Miller really isn't here. If you don't believe me, you can go see for yourself. With those words, Victoria could no longer deceive herself. Her face grim, she went to the meeting room. After seeing the business partner, the icy aura around her intensified. Until the end of the workday, Victoria received no calls from Ethan, not a single message. Her face was terrifyingly dark. Many employees who saw her trembled with fear, wishing they could disappear into the corners. After waiting for a long time, Victoria's patience ran out. She drove home at top speed. However, as dusk settled and the city lights began to twinkle, the sprawling hillside villa remained completely dark, without a single glimmer of light. For a moment, she almost thought she was hallucinating. She checked repeatedly before finally believing the villa was indeed dark, seemingly unoccupied. The panic in her heart grew stronger, her heart thumping erratically. Ethan Miller, what game are you playing? Playing hard to get won't work on me. Victoria pushed open the door, switched on the lights. Her brow furrowed as she searched the villa. However, the entire villa was empty, eerily quiet, so silent you could hear the echo of her footsteps. A thin layer of dust coated the coffee table. The fresh flowers in the vase had long since withered, leaving only yellowed stems. It was obvious no one had lived there for days. A wave of desolate panic washed over her. She pressed her lips together tightly, forcibly suppressing the turmoil within. Impossible. Ethan couldn't divorce her. She was powerful and influential. Even if he tried to run, he couldn't escape. Victoria struggled to maintain her composure, to find her voice. Ethan Miller, stop this nonsense. If you come out now, I can still spend a few more days with you. Didn't I tell you? Liam was just for fun. I'm already starting to get tired of him. You are the one I love most, irreplaceable. Just give me a little more time, and I'll come back to our family. This isn't fun anymore. Aren't you afraid? I'll actually divorce you. No matter what she said, only silence answered her. Ethan was nowhere to be found in any room of the villa. Even some of his belongings were gone. He had really left. The belated realization hit her hard. Victoria's lips pressed into a thin line, the oppressive aura around her reaching a breaking point. It wasn't just Ethan's things that were missing. Many proofs of their love and shared memories were gone too. The backyard was bare. The large grove of maple trees had vanished, leaving only ugly stumps. It was only at this moment that Victoria truly panicked. In the past, no matter how many times she had upset him, he had never gone this far. A little coaxing from her, and he would always forgive. But now, the maple trees she had planted for him with her own hands, trees that held all their memories of the past 6 years, he didn't want them anymore. She touched a stump in disbelief. The cut surface was somewhat dry, clearly not felled in the last few days. He had them cut down sometime before, without her knowing. And she hadn't noticed at all. Victoria's heart sank to the depths, plunging into utter darkness. Her hand trembling, she dialed Ethan's number. Unsurprisingly, it was still disconnected. "Ethan Miller, where on earth have you gone?" She typed out her first message in days. But the next second, a glaring red exclamation mark appeared, painfully bright. She had never imagined that one day Ethan would completely sever all contact with her. A terrible premonition bloomed in Victoria's heart. She quickly dialed Ethan's parents' numbers. "We're sorry. The number you have dialed is not in service." The same robotic voice repeated, as if mocking her. Ethan's parents had also blocked and deleted all her contact information. His entire family was resolute, determined to cut ties with her completely. But she wouldn't allow it. She hadn't signed any divorce papers. Even if they ran to the ends of the earth, she would drag them all back. Victoria's face was grim. She dialed her assistant's number and roared, "Find out where Ethan Miller and his family are, as fast as you can. Every place they've been since that kidnapping. I want it all investigated thoroughly. Ethan Miller wants to leave me? Not a chance." The assistant, jolted awake in the middle of the night, managed a tired, "Yes, I'll get people on it right away." After hanging up, Victoria's heart still couldn't find peace. She returned to the villa, looking at the empty house, a sense of desolation and loneliness washing over her. Her heart felt as if a piece had been brutally ripped out, leaving a raw, bleeding void. Lying in the bedroom, Ethan's absence beside her was unexpectedly hard to bear. Even though all traces of him were gone, she kept seeing his image everywhere. Looking at the sofa he bought for the living room, she could even picture Ethan sitting there, playing video games. A gentle breeze rustled the curtains on a balcony. She remembered him spotting them in a department store and buying them immediately, saying the little rabbits on the fabric reminded him of himself. Such warm moments from the past were now gone forever. She didn't know when it started, but their interactions had dwindled to jealousy and arguments. Even when sleeping in the same bed, they were distinctly separate, him practically plastered to the wall, wanting no physical contact with her. They had loved each other so much before. How had they reached this point? A belated sense of regret washed over Victoria. If she hadn't sought excitement, hadn't found other men, would things be different? But all the women in her circle were like that. One at home, one on the side, some even had several on the side. There were plenty who played harder than she did. Liam was also gentle and understanding. Why couldn't Ethan just accept it? Victoria felt a daze of confusion. She didn't sleep a wink all night. An indescribable anxiety and restlessness gnawed at her, urging her, faster, faster. Find Ethan soon, or she would regret it for the rest of her life. The investigators she'd sent out finally came back with news after a long search. Her assistant, Mark, placed a stack of documents in a USB drive in front of Victoria. "Ms. King, we found out. Mr. Miller. He took the divorce agreement you signed at the time of your marriage to a lawyer. You're now automatically divorced. Also, he and his parents have all erased their identities and left. We only know they bought plane tickets to Canada. Their whereabouts after that are unknown." Mark's voice grew fainter, his head practically buried in his chest, daring not to meet Victoria's deadly gaze. His words plunged the room into a dead, terrifying silence. It was only then that Victoria belatedly remembered. Back when they got married, to reassure Ethan's parents, she had signed a divorce agreement without Ethan's knowledge. She had thought that agreement would never see the light of day, and so had completely forgotten about it. She never imagined that one day, Ethan would actually use it to leave her for good. Victoria's face was expressionless, but her hand clutching the documents tightened, crumpling them into a ball. A raging fire, on the verge of eruption, smoldered in her deep, dark eyes. She forcibly suppressed it, torturing herself by flipping through the documents. Text and photos detailed Ethan's actions over the past days. He was truly determined to leave her, but Victoria couldn't accept it. "Search every corner of the earth. Find him. You must find Ethan Miller." Her chest heaved with anger as she slammed the documents onto the table. Mark was utterly perplexed. "Ms. King, you don't seem to love Mr. Miller as much as you used to. Isn't divorcing him a good thing? Why are you so insistent on holding on? Mr. Miller will never accept Mr. Vance nor will he accept you having other men. Even if you forcibly keep him by your side, it will only lead to mutual destruction. Besides, Mr. Vance isn't as gentle and understanding as you imagine. The USB drive contains evidence of Mr. Vance deliberately framing Mr. Miller. Perhaps you should take a look. At these words, Victoria's expression instantly darkened. Just as she hesitated, about to check the USB drive, Liam Vance suddenly burst in. Victoria, did Ethan have someone say bad things about me again? He dislikes me so much, it seems he really has to get rid of me. I wanted to be with you forever, but he's pushing me like this. Maybe I should just leave you. He lowered his head pitifully, covering his face to wipe away tears and making to run out, just as he had countless times before. However, after running a few steps, he still hadn't been pursued. The tactic that had always worked before was now failing. Liam kept looking back, his steps deliberately slow. The elevator had even reached their floor, but still, no one came after him. The pitiful expression froze on his face, unsure if he should actually leave. Meanwhile, in the office, Victoria inserted the USB drive, her pale face taut as she rapidly scanned the videos. Countless surveillance clips pieced together Ethan's actions during those days. He had never deigned to actively bully Liam. Instead, it was always Liam who deliberately provoked and framed him. Victoria's face was as dark as ink, her eyes brewing a dangerous storm. Bring Liam Vance back, she roared. Her long fingers clenched into fists, emitting an unnerving creaking sound, a clear sign of her extreme anger. Mark Peterson hurried to stop Liam. He found Liam lingering by the elevator, his eyes actually lighting up when he saw Mark approach. A wave of contempt washed over the assistant. He had always despised men like Liam Vance. He never understood what Ms. King saw in him then, and he still didn't. In his opinion, Ethan Miller was 1,000 times better in every aspect, yet Ms. King just didn't cherish him. Perhaps it was just a case of getting tired of what you have. He never judged. Seeing Mark approach, Liam couldn't help a smirk from tugging at his lips, but he still feigned grievance. Is Victoria calling me back? I don't want to go back to her. Tell her I don't want to be her boy toy anymore. He huffed, pouted, and made a show of leaving. But Mark, expressionless, blocked him. I'm sorry, Mr. Vance. Ms. King wants to see you. You can't leave. His tone carried an undeniable authority as he forcibly pulled Liam towards the office. Liam felt something was off, a vague unease settling in his heart, though he couldn't pinpoint its source. Thud. The office door closed and locked. Victoria walked up to Liam, her hands fiercely gripping his throat, her voice sharp with accusation. Where did you get the audacity to bully and frame Ethan Miller like this? Was I too nice to you before? Ugh, no, I didn't. It was Ethan. Liam's face flushed red as he pushed at her hands, managing only broken syllables. The air in his lungs thinned, his vision blackening in waves. Just as he was about to suffocate, Victoria finally released her grip. She casually tossed him to the floor, her eyes filled with fury and hatred. Gasping for air, Liam's tears rolled uncontrollably, but they no longer elicited any sympathy for Victoria. He didn't know how much she knew and continued to play the victim as always. He clutched at her pant leg, his eyes red and swollen, his thin frame trembling, the picture of utter dejection. He spoke weakly. Victoria, I really didn't do anything. It's all a misunderstanding. I can explain. Is Ethan jealous and angry? Can't I just apologize to him? Can you please not treat me like this? I'm worried about you. Victoria scrutinized him coldly, a self-mocking thought flashing through her mind. Had she really been played by such a man all this time? How ridiculous. Her face was a mask of indifference as she kicked him away. Get lost. Don't touch me, you disgust me. Mark, however Liam Vance made Ethan suffer, make him repay it tenfold. Start by giving him 100 slaps right now. Victoria's merciless words fell on Liam's ears. He collapsed to the floor in a daze, his mind consumed by a single thought. It was over. She knew everything. She was going to retaliate against him for Ethan. Liam's eyes filled with despair. His gaze darted around, desperately searching for a way to save himself. Seeing Mark approach, he scrambled backward, shaking his head frantically. No, you can't do this to me. I didn't do anything wrong. It's not my fault. Victoria, didn't you love me very much? You don't like Ethan Miller anymore anyway. Isn't it good that I helped you get rid of him? He shouted in panic. Victoria almost laughed out loud from anger, a cold sneer escaping her. Who said I don't like him anymore? I love him. He's the one I love most. You're just a plaything. Who allowed you to lay a hand on him? Mark Peterson, what are you waiting for? Do you need me to show you how? Mark Peterson muttered to himself, if you really loved Mr. Miller, would you treat him like this? He didn't understand. But he dutifully did as Victoria said, striking Liam across the face with all his might. There was a natural disparity in strength between men and women. Just one slap, and Liam's face instantly swelled up, all traces of his former delicate pity gone. He was knocked weakly against the wall, genuine tears streaming down his face. His earlier defiance vanished. He immediately humbled himself, begging, Victoria, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please, let me go, okay? I can apologize to Mr. Miller. Don't hit me anymore. I'll really die if you keep hitting me. My face will be ruined. Liam desperately shielded his face with both hands, wishing he could curl into a ball. Without hearing Victoria call a halt, Mark Peterson continued, his face cold. He pulled Liam's hands away and delivered another harsh slap. Smack! Smack! After several crisp slaps, Liam lay on the floor, barely breathing, his face swollen beyond recognition. But he no longer cared. Only one thought remained in his mind. Escape. Victoria was a mad woman. He couldn't understand how the Victoria, who had once been so doting and gentle towards him, could change so completely overnight. He had hidden things so well before. Liam inconspicuously tried to crawl towards the door, but Mark Peterson noticed his intent, dragged him back, and continued slapping him. Listening to the continuous slapping, Victoria felt an intense wave of irritation. She waved her hand, signaling Mark to stop. Take Liam Vance away. Don't let him die. Have the bodyguards make sure he gets these 100 slaps, then lock him in the freezer for 10 days. Remember, keep him alive. His torment isn't over yet. As for Liam Vance's parents, cut off their medical treatment immediately. The blood they owe Ethan, make them give it back to Ethan. Mark Peterson acknowledged and quickly dragged Liam away. Liam looked at Victoria, his eyes filled with despair, unable to comprehend how things had escalated to this point. He and his parents were finished, and they were both going to be tortured. How could he possibly accept that? Liam struggled desperately, lunging towards Victoria. Even if I did wrong and bullied Ethan Miller, you taught me to, and he deserved it. You shouldn't do this to me and my parents. Victoria King, you said you would spoil me, indulge me, that I could do whatever I wanted. Even if I turned the world upside down, it wouldn't matter. Why are you doing this to me? Don't you love me anymore? He knelt on the floor, screaming hoarsely, stubbornly demanding an answer, refusing to give up until he knew the bitter end. Victoria's eyes were dark and dangerous. She spoke impatiently. I don't love you anymore. I'm tired of you. After Ethan Miller left, you don't seem so interesting anymore. I'm your benefactor. You're just a boy toy. My spoiling you is a gift. If I don't spoil you, you have no right to comment on my affairs. From today on, you and I have no relationship. I'll have all your things sent back to your home. That villa will also be reclaimed. After you've received your punishment, don't ever appear before me again. With these words, Liam was utterly despondent, his heart dead as he was dragged away. Victoria massaged her aching temples, the irritation in her heart growing more pronounced. After Ethan Miller left, everything, absolutely everything, had become exceptionally dull. Even work had become exceptionally tedious and annoying. All along, it was she who couldn't leave Ethan, not the other way around. Before, when she grew bored and didn't value him, she always assumed he loved her, that he had nothing and would be trapped by her side for life no matter what. But reality had slapped her hard across the face. If her former self knew about today's events, she would probably hate her for a lifetime. After all, before, she had genuinely loved him. It was just that this love hadn't withstood the test of time. Victoria gazed at the bustling traffic outside the window, feeling an immense emptiness and dejection. Life suddenly seemed to have lost all meaning. The phone on the desk beside her kept lighting up. It was her friend, Sam Hughes. Vicky, some friends are getting together. Are you coming today? Bring that boy toy of yours, by the way. Don't bring your husband, though. He's timid and can't handle much. No fun at all. Hearing the noisy chatter from Sam's end, Victoria's brow furrowed deeply, a hint of anger in her voice. Liam and I broke up. If you ever dare say another bad word about Ethan Miller, watch out for your family's company. Sam was stunned for a moment. The friends around him quieted down. After a long silence, he managed a few dry laughs. Vicky, are you kidding? Didn't you really like your boy toy? Why did you suddenly break up? What about Ethan Miller then? We're divorced, Victoria said softly. An indescribable loneliness tinged her voice. For a moment, Sam and the others froze, even the music stopping. No way. For real? You guys really got divorced? Seeing her remain silent, not answering, Sam and the others had to believe it, even if they didn't want to. They suppressed the small spark of joy in their hearts and feigned consolation. Vicky, we know you're heartbroken. Come have a drink. Drinking more might make you feel less miserable. After a long silence, Victoria finally agreed. Arriving at the private room in the club, she sat down with a grim face, silently downing bottle after bottle of alcohol. Several friends were drinking with her, some comforting her and speaking up for her. Vicky, Ethan Miller really doesn't know what's good for him. With his family background and status, latching onto the King family is like winning the lottery. And he still divorced you? He has no taste. Exactly. So what if you found another man? Doesn't everyone in our circle have a bunch of men around them? You've already been faithful to him for 6 years. Aren't you allowed to find someone else? Yeah. And you didn't even find several, just one. When you get tired of him, just toss him aside. Why is he making such a big deal out of it? Though they said these things, some clearly had other intentions, merely feigning agreement. Victoria drank her sorrows away, finding their words too numerous and irritating. Bang! She slammed the bottle hard on the table. The entire room instantly fell silent. She scanned the room, her brow instinctively furrowing. Where are Sam Hughes and Sophia Hughes? Why don't I see them? Before anyone could explain, Sam Hughes walked in, smiling on the phone. Sis, haven't you had a crush on Ethan Miller for years? Now that Victoria King has actually divorced him, you have your chance to pursue him. This is a rare opportunity. Your little brother has been working to get it for you for a long time. If you still can't seize it, you can't blame me for not helping you. Who would have thought our group's promiscuity could serve such a purpose? Honestly, among the harmonious families in our circle, which one isn't based on fidelity? Can't control your body, and you end up with a bunch of problems. I may be promiscuous, but I've had a vasectomy, and I never thought of getting married to ruin a good girl. This is my life. Just having fun is enough. Sis, if you don't get married or date soon, you really won't be considered young anymore. Sam Hughes had a roguish demeanor, but the words he spoke to his sister on the phone were incredibly sincere. On the other end, Sophia Hughes hummed lightly. I will seize this opportunity. I'm already abroad. I was a step too late last time, didn't get to confess to Ethan. This time, I absolutely will not be late again. Her firm voice fell clearly into Victoria's ears, instantly stirring up a storm. Victoria was about to go mad with anger. All this time, they had been guiding her, making her do things to wrong Ethan, just so Sophia Hughes could take her place. Her eyes turned crimson with rage. She snatched Sam's phone, her face grim as she spoke. Sophia Hughes, Ethan will only love me. I will apologize to him, and we will reconcile. He didn't fall for you before. Do you think you have a chance now? Impossible. Sophia was incredibly calm, replying lightly, it doesn't matter if he doesn't fall in love with me or get together with me right away. At least I'm better than you. After you've hurt him like this, even if he doesn't choose me, he will never go back to you. Victoria's breath hitched, a deep pain piercing her heart. Yet she still feigned composure, forcing out through clenched teeth. If it weren't for you and Sam Hughes being so despicable, deliberately guiding me to neglect Ethan, how would he and I have ended up like this? Hearing this, Sophia let out a cold, mocking laugh. Victoria King, don't kid yourself. If you were truly devoted to Ethan, how could a few words from Sam and his group sway your mind? It's not like Sam and his friends started acting this way yesterday. They've always had a revolving door of people around them, playing with one and discarding them. Is this the first day you've known them? There are plenty of players in our circle. Faithful ones are few, but they exist. Why didn't you listen to them and treat Ethan well? If you had treated him well, I wouldn't have had the chance to approach him today. You wronged him yourself. Her words hit their mark. Victoria's face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling involuntarily. It's not like that. Not like that. She kept shaking her head, muttering distractedly. The phone in her hand had unknowingly slipped and fallen. The entire private room was plunged into dead silence. Sam Hughes and the others were extremely embarrassed, unsure what to say. Sam and a few others had indeed intended to guide Victoria's heart astray, constantly telling her that everyone in their circle behaved this way, that keeping someone they currently liked on the side was no big deal. But for so many years before, Victoria hadn't listened. Only when she met Liam Vance did she gradually start to heed their words. However, they had heard bits and pieces about Liam Vance and Ethan Miller. Ethan Miller wasn't the type to bully others. Over the years, everyone had heard of his character and conduct and had genuinely interacted with him. And Liam Vance, best not to speak of him. Perhaps only Victoria, the one involved, was blind, failing to see his hypocritical true colors for so long. Still, Sam Hughes and the others knew they were at fault and sincerely apologized. I'm sorry, Vicky. We were wrong about this. However, maybe Ethan and you really aren't suited for each other. He suffered so much with you, was tormented so many times. It's a wonder he didn't go mad. Letting him go is the best choice for him. Victoria remained silent, feeling as if a giant stone was pressing on her chest, making it difficult to breathe. Things had come to this. What could she do? Blame them? It seemed they hadn't really done anything. She could only blame herself. It was she who had a momentary lapse in judgment, unwilling to accept the status quo, craving a more exciting love, that led her to this point. It was all her fault. Victoria got a separate private room, ordered dozens of bottles of alcohol, and drank sullenly. The harsh, stimulating liquor went down her throat, yet she showed no reaction. She didn't know how many glasses she'd had, but her mind grew clearer, while her heart ached as if pierced by needles. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Victoria's voice was hoarse as she repeated apologies countless times, but the person who truly needed to hear them was not by her side. Tears blurred her vision, and the image of her first meeting with Ethan seemed to appear before her eyes. It was an ordinary summer afternoon when a sudden sun shower began. Ethan had no umbrella and was wearing a white shirt. The rain soaked him through, the fabric clinging to his body, becoming somewhat translucent. He realized his predicament, awkwardly trying to cover himself as large raindrops pelted down, drenching him like a drowned rat. Victoria drove by, a casual glance turning into a fixed stare. Her heart began to pound uncontrollably. In that moment, she knew with absolute clarity she had fallen for him. So she stopped the car, opened the door, and asked, "Want to get in and sort yourself out? You seem a bit inconvenienced." Ethan looked up at the sound of her voice. The moment their eyes met, Victoria's heart nearly leaped out of her throat. Her brain stopped thinking, the world so quiet she could only hear her own heartbeat. But seeing she was a young woman, he, with a strong sense of propriety, unhesitatingly refused. "Sorry, thank you for your kindness, but no, thank you." Seeing him about to leave, Victoria, not wanting to miss this chance, uncharacteristically threw caution to the wind, grabbed his hand, pulled him into the car, and even took off her own jacket to drape over him. "Don't worry, I won't get in. This rain shouldn't last long. It'll be fine when it stops." Saying this, she stood foolishly outside the car, letting the rain soak her through, completely forgetting she had an umbrella. Perhaps love had come too suddenly. She forgot everything, only wanted to spend a little more time with him. Later, she brazenly asked for his contact information, investigated his daily routines, deliberately created countless chance encounters, and confessed her love countless times. The day he accepted her confession, she was the happiest person in the world. Victoria had never thought she would love someone so much. After all, her parents' example was right before her. Her father was a monster incapable of love, taking all comers, seeking the taste of love from those women. Until he met her mother, an exception. He didn't love her, but he wanted to possess her. So he recklessly snatched her away from the man she loved, forced her into his home, and compelled her to bear his child. Her mother couldn't accept giving birth to the child of her tormentor, yet she couldn't escape. So she killed herself in front of her. A young Victoria witnessed her mother's death and her father's cold madness. Victoria once believed she would be like her father, incapable of loving anyone. But now, she had become a combination of her parents. Like her mother, deeply loving someone, yet like her father, deeply hurting the one she loved. Victoria blamed herself, drinking continuously. After an unknown amount of time, the bottles beside her were all empty, piled haphazardly on the floor. She lay drunk on the sofa, curled up in a ball, devoid of any sense of security. Even though the excessive drinking had caused a perforated stomach ulcer, she remained impassive, showing no intention of getting up. Only her deathly pale face revealed her vulnerability. Victoria masochistically endured the pain, silent. When Ethan was tormented, it must have been 1,000 times more painful than this, right? "I'm sorry." She slowly closed her eyes, her heart like dead ashes, even entertaining the thought of dying right there. Darkness enveloped her vision, her consciousness gradually slipping away. In a daze, she felt as if she had returned to the past. Her stomach used to be bad too, with occasional pain. Ethan, who barely knew how to cook, had diligently learned to make stomach-soothing meals, preparing them for her himself, and making sure she ate regularly. The most ordinary warmth from the past, she could no longer experience it now. If she really died, perhaps it wouldn't be so bad. After all, just as Sophia Hughes had said, Ethan might never come back. However, despite Victoria's self-destructive tendencies, she woke up. Sam Hughes and his friends had brought her to the hospital. Seeing her awake, Sam finally breathed a sigh of relief, chattering, "Vicky, I know you're in a bad mood, but you shouldn't joke around with your life like this, no matter what. If you really died, Ethan would never know you regretted it. My sister likes him, but she hasn't found him yet either. You still have a chance. Even if you can't reconcile, at least explain everything to him. Tell him you regret it. You don't want him to have a bad impression of you forever, do you? Do you want him to hate you for the rest of his life?" Victoria listened, her expression flickering. After a long pause, she finally nodded. "You're right. I need to find him, apologize to him and his family, explain everything. Maybe he'll forgive me." Sam Hughes and the others didn't puncture her almost impossible fantasy. Having hope to live was better than dying in self-abandonment. They didn't want a death on their hands. Yesterday, when they burst into Victoria's private room and saw her barely breathing, they had all nearly died of fright. After a flurry of activity, they finally managed to get her to the hospital, had her stomach pumped, and save her life. Otherwise, if left unattended, she might have died from alcohol poisoning or a perforated ulcer. Seeing Victoria was out of danger, Sam Hughes and the others left. The hospital room was empty, with only Victoria remaining. She couldn't sit still and directly dialed her assistant's number. "Any news on Ethan Miller and his family?" Mark Peterson was silent for a long time, then let out a deep sigh. "Ms. King, after Mr. Miller and his family erased their identities, they flew to Canada, but they left soon after and changed their identities again. It's extremely difficult to track their whereabouts using only their photos. We've only managed to identify a few cities where they stayed, but their current exact location is still unknown. The King family's influence abroad is limited. Finding them is like looking for a needle in a haystack and will take time." Victoria massaged her temples, forcibly suppressing the irritation welling up inside her. "Intensify the search and continue looking. Also, compile all the official business that needs to be handled offline recently. Try to complete it within 3 days. After that, transfer everything else to online processing. I'm going abroad to find Ethan Miller." Mar Peterson knew she had made up her mind and didn't ask further, just hurried to make arrangements. For 3 consecutive days, while recuperating in the hospital, Victoria worked day and night, handling official matters. But she had to hurry. Sophia Hughes had already been searching abroad for some time. She was already far behind. She couldn't afford to delay any longer. Only after finishing all her work did she quickly pack her luggage and take the earliest flight to France, the last country Ethan was known to have stayed in. The plane streaked across the blue sky, leaving a long white trail. On the Champs-Élysées in France, Victoria searched aimlessly. Honestly, she had no confidence. Where Ethan Miller might have gone, she didn't know. She had visited every spot he had casually mentioned wanting to see, yet there was still no sign of Ethan. The initial tension and excitement in Victoria's heart gradually subsided, eventually turning into nothing. 1 day, 5 days, half a month. She had lost track of how long she had been searching. She had lost a significant amount of weight, and her skin had tanned slightly from constantly being out and about. But the dark circles under her eyes were impossible to hide, and her eyes were densely bloodshot. Every day Ethan Miller didn't appear before her was a day she couldn't sleep well. Her heart was an excruciating torment, a suffering far worse than any physical injury. If he could appear before her right now, even if he tortured her until she was covered in wounds, it would be better than this endless, current torment. So, this was the painful taste of waiting for someone who might never return. Victoria truly regretted it. If she could do it all over again, she would want to dismember the version of herself that made that fateful, misguided decision. Victoria's expression was vacant as she searched numbly. Sometime later, a figure flashed before her eyes, a back strikingly similar to Ethan's. And he was embracing a foreign woman. Her entire heart felt like it was steeping in acid, the sourness unbearable. Victoria's fists clenched, her eyes red as she rushed forward and, thud, landed a heavy punch on the foreign woman. "Let go of my husband." "He's your husband? Are you crazy? If he's your husband, then who am I?" The foreign woman spat out a mouthful of blood, asking in disbelief. She furiously threw a punch back, but Victoria caught it. The Asian man beside her quickly shielded the woman and chimed in. "Where did this lunatic come from?" "I don't know you. Honey, let's go." He glared at Victoria warily. Only then did she belatedly realize she had mistaken the person. It was just a similar back, and she had completely lost her composure. "Sorry," Victoria mumbled. After paying a sum of money as compensation, she resumed her endless search. If not for this experience, perhaps she would never have realized how many people in the world resembled Ethan Miller. Some had similar hairstyles, some similar eyes, some similar voices. But no matter how similar they were not Ethan. And she needed no one but Ethan. Just when Victoria was on the verge of despair, suddenly, Mark Peterson sent a message. Ms. King, we found Mr. Miller. He's in this restaurant right now. His parents are also there. This is the location. Please hurry over. Looking at the location and the profile picture of Ethan, Victoria almost couldn't hold back her tears. She took a deep breath, calmed herself, and without even bothering to fix her appearance, rushed to the restaurant as fast as she could. Ethan! The moment she pushed open the private room door and saw everyone inside, Victoria froze. Sophia Hughes? What are you doing here? Her heart filled with panic as she questioned her tensely. Sophia Hughes looked calm, a slight smile playing on her lips. As Ethan's girlfriend, why can't I be here? Her words hit Victoria like a thunderclap. A loud ringing filled her ears, drowning out all other sounds. Sophia's sentence replayed in her mind, almost driving her mad. How can this be? Ethan, how could she become your girlfriend so quickly? I just want to hear you explain. Victoria's eyes reddened, utterly vulnerable, her voice trembling. Ethan, however, looked indifferent, eating the food on his plate, and said casually, "It hasn't been that fast. It's been over half a year since our divorce. She pursued me for a long time. I thought I'd give it a try. I'm single anyway, what's wrong with that?" Victoria's breath hitched. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. So, it had already been over half a year. His casual words were like countless knives, stabbing deep in her heart, mincing it into a bloody pulp. She fought back a sob. Wrong, it's very wrong. I don't want to see you with anyone else. You're mine. I love you, only you. Huh? Ethan scoffed, finding it utterly ridiculous. You keep saying you love me. Is hurting someone the way to love them? If that's the case, I'd rather not have such love. His eyes held not a trace of love, only cold indifference. Ethan's parents, also furious at Victoria's presence, showed no kindness in their expressions. Ms. King, you're not one of us. You should go back to being your wealthy socialite. You can have as many men as you want with a snap of your fingers. Discard them when you're bored. But our Ethan is not your toy, nor is he your punching bag. Our perfectly fine son. How much has he suffered? How much pain has he endured since marrying you? Don't you have any idea? How could you lock my son in that detention center and bully him so many times? What sin did he commit to deserve a woman like you? The more Ethan's parents spoke, the angrier they became, wiping away tears as they struck out at Victoria. Victoria hung her head in guilt, not resisting, letting them vent their fury. Yet she couldn't help but ask, what about Sophia Hughes? She's a wealthy heiress just like me. Aren't you worried she'll end up like me one day? Before Ethan's parents or Ethan could answer, Sophia Hughes spoke first. Whether I become like you or not, time will tell. I firmly believe that day will never come. The day Ethan and I got together, I signed an agreement with him. If I ever betray him, all my assets will voluntarily go to him. And even after a breakup, half of all my future earnings will automatically be his. As long as Ethan has enough money, he has the capital to resist me. If I do something wrong, he can punish me directly without having to endure it. I love him very much. If one day he no longer loves me and yearns for the clouds and birds, it doesn't have to stay for me. Her words left Victoria stunned. Even Ethan was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected Sophia to go to such lengths. Ethan also hadn't expected Sophia's declaration of love to be so serious. Initially, he had only considered her a friend from Victoria's circle, perhaps there to fight for Victoria, deliberately confessing to him only to abandon him again as revenge. But after getting to know her, Sophia was not that kind of person at all. She had a cool personality, keeping others at a distance. Only when facing him was she exceptionally proactive. Later, Ethan asked her, "Why are you so actively good to me? It doesn't match your personality at all." She just smiled bitterly and replied, "Because I don't want to miss this chance. I missed you once before. If I miss you again this time, we might never have a chance again. I want to cherish every opportunity with you, to be with you, and never be separated." Hearing this, Ethan was taken aback. In his memory, there wasn't the slightest impression of Sophia. Sophia said she had met him in college and fallen in love with him at first sight. They had encountered each other many times, even made eye contact several times, but his eyes had never truly seen her. Until the first day he met Victoria, Sophia had prepared a grand confession, only for it to be completely ruined by the rain. She was holding an umbrella, just about to go to him, but she was a step too late. Victoria got there first. Every time after that, it was like a dramatic play. She always seemed to have bad luck, always a step behind Victoria, never managing to appear before him in time. When she finally managed to speak to him, his attention was completely captivated by Victoria. Later, Victoria confessed 99 times. Although he never relented, Sophia knew he was moved, just lacking a bit of courage. So, she gave up, loving him secretly from a place where he couldn't see. This love was unspoken, hidden from the light. That's why she always claimed to be uninterested in romance, dedicating herself to scientific research, to her career. Her family wasn't lacking heirs. The Hughes family had a whole brood of children. Besides Sam, Sophia also had a younger twin brother and sister. Therefore, no one pressured her. After learning all this, Ethan was stunned for a long time before he remembered. In his buried memories, Sophia, Hughes's figure, had indeed appeared. But at that time, he had only thought of her as Victoria's friend, not thinking much of it. Today, hearing Sophia's confession, Ethan was moved, but also couldn't help feeling a little apprehensive. Did he really deserve such sincere love? He didn't love her that much yet. His relationship with Victoria had almost drained all his energy, even making him insecure and fearful of loss. He was terrified of giving his whole heart again only to be shattered by Sophia. He couldn't afford another 6 years. Sophia sensed his vulnerability. She proactively took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. Her warmth transferred to Ethan's hand, and his heart warmed along with it. He heard her soft voice, "Don't be afraid. Not all relationships have to end perfectly. If love fades, parting is fine. It's no big deal. Besides, you are wonderful. You are worthy of my love. I love you willingly. You deserve all the best things in the world." Her gaze remained gentle, warm like sunshine capable of melting all ice. Ethan remained silent, not speaking, but his eyes showed he was moved. Seeing this, Victoria's heart was pierced with agony. She stared intently at Ethan and Sophia's clasped hands, her eyes nearly popping out of their sockets. "Ethan Miller, she's completely wrong. Love isn't about letting go. Loving someone doesn't make you magnanimous. It only makes you want to trap them by your side at all times." Victoria shrieked. She fought back tears, the sourness in her heart almost drowning her. So, this was how painful it was to see the person you love with someone else. How had Ethan endured it before? She hardly dared to think about it. But the image of him, eyes red, utterly broken, confronting her, flashed before her again. He had questioned her, gone mad, become hysterical. But at the time, she had only found his clamor annoying. Compared to Liam's obedience and understanding, it made her even more irritated. She hadn't even understood why he couldn't be like other husbands, gentle and magnanimous. But now, when something similar happened to her, she truly understood the pain. Victoria desperately hugged Ethan, just like countless times before, possessively pulling him into her embrace, about to plant a frantic kiss on his lips. Smack, a crisp sound. Ethan slapped her hard, knocking her head to the side. "Victoria King, we are divorced. I don't love you anymore, and I don't agree with your views on love at all. You don't love me, you only love yourself. Stop deceiving yourself with this act of deep affection." His face was cold as he pushed her away with all his might. Sophia quickly shielded him, warning coldly, "Victoria King, Ethan is my boyfriend now. If you try to do anything to him, I will not let you off. The Hughes family is not to be trifled with. Besides, abroad, the Hughes family's influence far surpasses the King family's. You'd better consider your position." Not only that, but Ethan's parents also protectively shielded Ethan, glaring at Victoria. "Victoria King, even though we can't compare to a behemoth like the King family, even if it means a direct confrontation, we two old folks will die before we let you take Ethan. You and Ethan are not compatible at all. You'd better stop harassing him. Get lost. Otherwise, we'll hit you every time we see you." Saying this, Ethan's parents, disregarding their image, picked up nearby bowls and plates and threw them at her. Victoria didn't dodge, taking the hits full on. The bowls and plates shattered against her face, cutting her, blood gushing out. Yet she seemed to feel no pain, not uttering a sound, just staring fixedly at Ethan. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I truly love you. About everything with Liam Vance, I can explain it all. I was mistaken, deceived by Liam. I've already punished him. Please, don't be so cruel, okay? Give me one more chance. I will never hurt Ethan again. Otherwise, I'll leave with nothing. No, I could transfer all my assets to Ethan's name right now." Victoria pleaded humbly, picking up a shard of broken porcelain and pressing it against her own neck. She then forcibly took one of Ethan's hands, compelling him to hold her life in his grasp. She managed a crazed smile, bitterness welling in her heart. "Ethan, if you hate me, kill me. That would be fine. Just don't reject me. I truly can't bear a future without you. I can have nothing, but I absolutely cannot be without you. Punish me however you want. I'll accept it all. You can lock me in the freezer or put me in prison. Hit me, curse me, whatever you want, just don't abandon me. Hearing these words, Ethan felt his scalp tingle. He violently pulled his hand back, heedless of her cutting her neck, and angrily slapped her again. No, not fine at all. I don't want to see you anymore. I hate you, Victoria King. If you don't want me to hate you for the rest of my life, then get the hell out of my world. With that, he glared fiercely at Victoria. Regardless of how badly she was hurt, Ethan quickly pulled his parents and Sophia away, leaving in a hurry. Let's go quickly. I don't want to be around a lunatic any longer. Ethan's parents and Sophia continuously tried to soothe his emotions. Their figures receded into the distance, leaving only Victoria alone in the private room. She clutched her bleeding neck and suddenly laughed. "Ha, Ethan, why weren't you a little crueler? Wouldn't it be good to kill me to atone for your sins? Why leave me alive? You can't bear to part with me either, right? I'll just assume you can't bear to part with me." Some lies, if repeated enough, perhaps even she would start to believe them. But in her heart, she knew with absolute clarity, Ethan truly didn't love her anymore. So what was she to do? She still loved him deeply. An immense bitterness filled Victoria's heart. Due to excessive blood loss, her vision blackened in waves, and a chill spread through her body. Just as she thought she was about to die, someone suddenly took her away. Victoria forced her heavy eyelids open for a glance. It wasn't Ethan. It was a somewhat unfamiliar bodyguard. Of course, it wouldn't be Ethan. He wouldn't come back to save her. As she thought this, her eyelids, unable to hold on any longer, closed, and she completely lost consciousness. When she woke up again, Victoria was no longer in the private room. She was locked in a pitch-black room, so dark she couldn't see her hand in front of her face. Almost nothing was visible. Just as she was pondering, an image was suddenly projected onto the wall in front of her. On the left was a photo of her and Liam Vance kissing, and on the right, a photo of Ethan and Sophia Hughes kissing. The two photos corresponded, rich with irony. Even if Victoria were a fool, she recognized this as Sophia Hughes' handiwork. However, it wasn't just this one photo. Sophia was doing this intentionally. Every time a photo of Victoria and Liam being intimate appeared on the screen, a similar photo of Sophia and Ethan being intimate would appear beside it. Countless photos deeply stung Victoria's eyes, her heart feeling like it was being fried in oil. Her eyes turned red with anger, and she slammed her fist heavily against the wall. Stop! Stop it! However, no matter how she roared, the projected photos never stopped, continuously tormenting her heart. It was as if they were saying, "What right do you have to be angry and jealous? You did these things before too? Why can't you accept it when it's Ethan? Ethan suffered like this before too. Of course, you have to experience it once." Countless photos, like a relentless nightmare, swirled before Victoria's eyes. Even when she closed them, the images persisted. After a long time, overwhelmed with guilt, she apologized over and over. "I'm sorry, Ethan." But no matter how many times she apologized, the torment didn't end. Victoria was drenched in a cold sweat, fumbling and stumbling around the room, trying to escape. Finally, she found the bathroom. Stepping inside, she was overcome with a profound sense of self-loathing. She turned the hot water on full blast, scrubbing her body relentlessly, washing countless times without stopping, as if desperate to shed a layer of skin. "Ethan, I'm not dirty. I'll never touch anyone but you again. I'm really not dirty," Victoria muttered distractedly. The torment finally ended, though she didn't know when. When Victoria was released, her eyes were vacant, her entire being exuding an air of desolation. Passers-by on the street cast strange glances her way, but she completely ignored them. After several days of recuperation, her assistant relentlessly sent piles of accumulated work. She was so busy she barely had time to breathe, let alone search for Ethan. Only when this batch of work was concluded did Victoria finally catch her breath. She dialed Mark Peterson's number and said flatly, "Get Liam Vance out of prison. Bring him abroad to see me." Mark, receiving the order, immediately set about it. A day later, Liam Vance, emaciated and tortured almost beyond recognition, appeared before Victoria. His body was a roadmap of countless injuries, a dense, crisscrossing network of scars that almost obscured his once smooth skin. He was as pale as a ghost, his eyes hollow and numb. Even seeing Victoria, he lacked the desire to speak. His days in prison had been inhuman. The life of a regular inmate was a luxury to him, because he had been specially attended to. Seeing Liam like this, Victoria felt not a shred of pity, only a satisfied nod. Come with me to apologize to Ethan. Okay, he answered without hesitation, following Victoria like a shadow. She had people tailing Ethan constantly, so finding his location was easy. Victoria knocked on the door. When no one answered, she wasn't anxious, just waited quietly. Only at dusk, when Ethan and Sophia Hughes returned together, did she immediately approach them with Liam in tow. Ethan, look, I brought Liam Vance. He has repaid tenfold all the suffering you endured. I truly don't love him anymore. He can prove it for me. Liam Vance, his face a numb mask, nodded. Yes, I would never dare to have any improper thoughts about Mr. Miller again. Ms. King can only belong to Mr. Miller. I would never dare to bully Mr. Miller again. I am a sinner. I am utterly wicked. He recited the words with practiced ease, as if he had rehearsed them 1,000 times. Just hearing this, Ethan couldn't help but feel a jolt of alarm. Although he hated Liam, he also knew the real culprit was Victoria. Seeing Liam so injured, he couldn't help but think of his former self. There was no joy of revenge in his heart. Ethan looked at Victoria warily, recoiling a few steps, a lingering fear in his eyes. Victoria King, I don't need Liam Vance to atone like this. The things he did to bully me, he should repay them as they were. The one who truly needs to atone is you. You genuinely frightened me. Before, when you cared about Liam, you could torture me like that. Now that you've turned your attention back to me, you can torture Liam like this. What about the future? Will you one day, for Liam or someone else, torture me even more? Your kind of love is too terrifying. I don't dare to accept it, he said sharply. I wouldn't. I just wanted him to apologize to you. If you want me to atone, I can go too. Victoria explained, flustered, wanting to approach Ethan but held back by the fear in his eyes, not daring to get any closer. Sophia Hughes frowned, gently patting Ethan's back and comforting him in a warm voice. Don't worry, I won't let her bully you again. Then, turning to Victoria, her face instantly hardened. Victoria King, do you even believe your own words? If you truly wanted to atone, would you need Ethan's approval to do so? Or are you simply too afraid to go? Before Victoria could retort, Sophia continued, whether you're willing to go or not, it doesn't matter. I'll send you to atone right now. As soon as she finished speaking, several bodyguards stepped forward, bound Victoria tightly, and dragged her into a car. Victoria didn't resist, only looking deeply at Ethan. Ethan, I'm not going to atone simply because I wanted to find you sooner, apologize to you, and be by your side. If this is what you want, then I am willing to endure it. She was dragged into the car, the door slammed shut, her figure receding into the distance until it disappeared completely. Ethan couldn't help but ask Sophia, where did you send her? To the prison here. I've arranged everything. She won't miss a single bit of the atonement she deserves, Sophia said calmly. Ethan nodded, indifferent to Victoria's fate. She owed him this. She should pay it back. However, with Victoria gone, Liam Vance, standing nearby, seemed lost. He hesitated for a moment. Then a glimmer of hope ignited in his eyes, his whole demeanor re-energized. Looking at the strikingly beautiful Sophia Hughes beside Ethan, Liam, just like countless times before, tried to find his most handsome angle and spoke weakly. Miss, can you save me and my parents? My parents are still being held by Victoria in a hospital, forced to donate blood regularly. They're old, their bodies can't take it. Please be kind. Whatever you want, I can give it to you. His words carried a subtle insinuation, his eyes full of seductive intent. However, he might have forgotten that he had been locked in prison for too long. His voice was ruined, raspy, and unpleasant. Ethan wasn't angry, nor was he jealous. Instead, he looked back and forth between Liam and Sophia with considerable interest. He wanted to see how Sophia would react. If she, like Victoria, was fooled by Liam's clumsy acting, then there was no need for him to continue being with her. He could get all her assets anyway. Sophia's expression was neutral, without a flicker of emotion, terrifyingly calm. I am not a savior. I cannot save you. Only you can save yourself and your parents. You have hands and feet. You can always earn money to go back and rescue your parents. As soon as she finished, she took Ethan's hand and walked home without a backward glance. However, the moment the front door closed, Sophia pressed Ethan against it, kissing his lips with a controlled yet subtly wild passion. In the breathless pauses, her gentle, magnetic voice whispered in his ear, Ethan, you were enjoying my little show? This is your punishment. With that, she tiptoed and lightly bit his earlobe, sending shivers down his spine, eliciting a soft moan. The next moment, she kissed his lips again, leading him by the hand to the bedroom. As they walked, she explained, Ethan, I'm not like Victoria. I cherish you very much. If any random man could seduce me, I wouldn't have been single for so many years. I know. Ethan panted, struggling for breath. Outside the door, Liam Vance stood alone, a cold wind sweeping past, as if mocking his absurdity. He wandered aimlessly, passing a fountain. A casual glance at his own reflection in the water startled him violently. Ah! Liam clutched his face, screaming like a madman. He couldn't believe the horrifying man in the water was him. During his years in prison, he had no time or energy to groom himself. Old wounds never healed before new ones appeared. Untreated, the wounds festered and oozed. But he used to cherish his face above all else. How had he come to this? Liam didn't understand. Not only was he suffering, but his parents were also in constant agony. In prison, someone had shown him his parents' condition. Due to their age, their declining health, the absence of their beloved son, and excessive blood donations, they had aged nearly 20 years. Barely in their 50s, they were already white-haired and deeply wrinkled. And now he looked like this. Liam truly regretted it. If he hadn't been greedy for money back then, hadn't deliberately crashed into Victoria's car, if he hadn't agreed to be her kept boy toy, if he hadn't framed Ethan Miller so many times, perhaps none of this would have happened. But things had come to this, and he could never go back. The laughable thing was just moments ago, he had tried to seduce another woman with this very appearance. But he had no other way. Liam was utterly desperate. If he had any other means of survival, he wouldn't have to resort to seduction. He was already so ruined. What else could he do? His life was a dead end. Bridgewater Correctional Facility. Sophia, Hughes's bodyguards, acting as temporary prison guards, stood not far from Victoria, coldly watching her torment. Thud! A blond, blue-eyed man, as if venting, punched Victoria, spewing obscenities. She showed no intention of struggling or resisting, merely enduring it silently. In reality, if she wanted to, she had countless opportunities to leave. She could pay someone to knock out the blond man. Even fighting several people at once wouldn't be difficult. She could even admit defeat to Sophia's bodyguards and request a leave if she truly couldn't bear it. But Victoria didn't. Only intense pain made her feel alive. Perhaps she had already gone mad from the moment she learned Ethan would never forgive her. Now, it was all just a desperate struggle to hold on. She and her father were both monsters, relentless in achieving their goals. But she truly regretted it. After an unknown number of days in prison, Victoria, unlike Liam, felt no despair, but rather had grown accustomed to such a life. These physical torments no longer made her feel alive. Her body still ached, but her soul was dead, her entire being numb. Finally, Victoria evaded the sight of the bodyguards and other prison officers and walked out of the prison. Following her memory, she arrived at Ethan's house in that country and knocked on the door. However, the person who opened the door was neither Ethan nor Sophia, nor Ethan's parents. It was a completely unfamiliar young man. "Who are you looking for?" the young man asked, frowning. Victoria's dark, deep eyes stared at him intently. She grabbed his collar and demanded, "Where is Ethan Miller? Where'd he go? He was the previous owner of this house." The young man quickly pushed her hand away, shouting in alarm. He should have returned to his country. "I heard his family say something about meeting the parents." Thump! Victoria roughly shoved the young man aside and left without a backward glance, rushing back to her own country at top speed. That day, a topic spread like wildfire throughout New York City. Tech giant Victoria King's ex, Ethan Miller, now dating Hugh's scion Sophia. Victoria reportedly begging for him back. Countless people discussed it, and many even came to the Hughes estate, hoping to witness a dramatic scene. Outside the Hughes family's main gate, Victoria stood in the rain, ignoring everyone's scrutinizing gazes, her fervent eyes fixed on Ethan Miller. "Ethan, I won't give up. You will only belong to me." "I'm sorry, I won't give you that chance," Sophia Hughes responded coldly. As soon as she finished speaking, several armed personnel disembarked from an armored vehicle, surrounding Victoria. Sophia looped her arm through Ethan's, a provocative smile playing on her lips. "Trying to steal a boyfriend from the head of a national critical research project? You'd better consider your own standing." Ethan's expression was also neutral, consistently cold. "Victoria King, don't come looking for me anymore. No matter what you do, I will not forgive you. Your behavior is just tiresome." Ethan's parents also nodded, frowning impatiently. "No matter how much you beg for forgiveness, it's useless. You won't even get past us, his parents. You nearly killed us, so don't expect our family to forgive you. Go back to being your socialite with Minijika on your left and all around you. How many men you want to keep at home or on the side has nothing to do with us. You can have a different one every day for all we care. Just stop being an eyesore in front of us. Victoria's gaze lowered slightly, silently refuting them in her heart. She didn't want anyone else. She only wanted Ethan Miller. However, she was still taken away. Outside the King Corporation headquarters, patrols became a common sight to prevent her from doing anything irreparable to Ethan. Afterward, many business partners, hearing the rumors and assuming she was promiscuous and had a chaotic private life, often sent various men to her during business dealings. Among them, not a few resembled Ethan. Victoria, however, rejected them all, sending every single one back. She knew it was truly over between her and Ethan, but she also didn't want to do anything else she might regret for a lifetime. Being alone for the rest of her life. Perhaps I was fine too.